Right, so today we're going to be talking about a little book called The Alloy of Law. This is the first in the Mistborn Era 2 series. We're going back to Brandon Sanderson, and I don't think there's been a single Brandon Sanderson book that I've gotten through that I haven't enjoyed. And that isn't me setting up to say this is the first one that I haven't enjoyed. I did enjoy this book more than I expected to, because with as much as there hasn't been anything that I haven't enjoyed, I feel like Sanderson really excels at the longer, like, slow burn stories. And when I saw that this is basically a pamphlet, I started to wonder, is this gonna hold up? And is this on the level of, like, Mistborn Era 1? No. No. Do I think that it needs to be? No, it's a completely different beast. What I really like about this, and one of the things that's mentioned even in the not interlude, but in the acknowledgements of this, is Mistborn, unlike other fantasy series, is something that is like evolving, and there's a time jump between this. This doesn't take place exactly after, spoilers for the Hero of Ages, but this doesn't take place exactly after, like, Sazed becomes the Hero of Ages. This doesn't take place this isn't, like, dealing with the same cast of characters from that series. This is dealing with a completely different cast of characters. We've got our main character, Wax. We've got his kind of like Watson stand-in, Wayne. And these two, it very much is that kind of like Holmes and Watson kind of storyline. We're even in that kind of world where we're post industrial revolution. We're starting to see, we're like at the end of the horse and carriage era. We're starting to see the pops up of the first, like, motor cars, and I think that's a really cool place for Mistborn especially, but for a fantasy series to kind of exist. I think it's even more interesting knowing what we know now about what Mistborn Era 3 is going to look like, where that's going, like, full on sci-fi with the same kind of concepts of allomancy and and Feruchemy and things like that. But we're not dealing with where Mistborn Era 1 is very much that kind of, like, hero's quest, and the main character is this kind of, like, immensely powerful force, and they're just kind of unlocking their powers. And the twist of that is really cool, and that's why I'm so excited to get into a done series of Brandon Sanderson, of Sanderson's again, because I'm really excited to see what kind of things are introduced in this that get paid off in the last one. That's something that I'm really excited to get. But with this, it very much is just, we've got these two kind of like Holmes and Watson kind of characters, and they're just on the hunt for a criminal. This guy is kind of, or this group is, like, kidnapping women that they find out are related to are related to or are suspected allomancers, so we have that kind of role. Wax himself is a really interesting character that's dealing with grief. He's retired, but he's brought back into the fray because of these kidnappings that are going on, and we find out that the person orchestrating these kidnappings, or at least not the tip top, and I'm not going to spoil who the tip top is because that's something that's going to come to a head way later in the series. I'm assuming, because as much as this isn't directly stated as being a part of Mistborn Era 2, it's kind of said to be its own thing. From about nearly halfway that I've gotten to, you can't just jump into Shadows of Self without reading this. I don't think. This is less so a novella that's kind of optional, and it's more of like, yeah, this is a chapter 1 to, yeah, this might as well be book 1, because this sets up all of the stuff that's going to be going on in the Wax and Wayne trilogy. And I don't know how you would be able to do the 3 other books without reading this first. This is too important for that kind of thing. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this, and because it's short, it reads like an action movie. It reads like a film. It reads like a movie, and you know, we do have that classic like Brandon Sanderson humor. But I don't think it's overused. Do I think Wayne himself is a bit of an annoying character? I don't think so. I think there is enough, like, we do get like one character beat with Wayne, and I feel like for the amount of book that is here, that is enough. But yeah, the person orchestrating these kidnappings is a former lawman himself, a former associate or colleague of Wax's. And so we've got interesting things going on there. I very much think you could get this finished in a sitting. I think someone very much could get this done in a sitting, and it does read as though it's meant to be digested in that way. And what I'm really surprised about is even something this quick and breezy, pun intended, even something this quick and breezy does have its own like Sanderlange. It does have like the classic Sandersonism of the climax is big and it's bold, and there is I don't want to say that there is not much that happens before the climax, but there's a lot of character work that happens to make you care about what happens at the end of the book, and that's what I feel like is very much the Sanderson approach to this. And do I think do I feel at this point that is starting to get a bit formulaic and it's starting to get a little bit predictable? No, because the whole point of the way that Sanderson works is it's never predictable. You can't predict what's going to happen. You can predict that the climax of the book is going to be big, but you can't predict what's going to happen at the end of it. And that very much is what I love about reading Sanderson. And even after Wind and Truth, which wasn't my favourite, I'm not completely sworn off Sanderson, and I know that there is a good writer in there. And that book, even though it's not my favourite, it's still good. I still think it was successful, and it made me feel what I feel like it should have made me feel. I just, with the most recent two Stormlight books, I felt the length, and something like this very much is refreshing. It's a very nice palate cleanser. I feel like the whole of Mistborn Era 2 is going to be a very nice palate cleanser, because it's a lot more, I don't want to say it's a lot more lighter in tone, because we are still, like, dealing with, like, detective stories and that, but it reads way more like an action-oriented series. It does read like action movies, and this feels like more of like your summer blockbuster than something like Mistborn Era 1 did, which was definitely more like this dour, oppressive, just very dark series as a whole. This definitely feels a lot more upbeat, and a lot more like steam train to the finish line kind of thing. Ironically, most of the action sequences in this book do take place on top of or inside of a train, which is kind of a metaphor for the pace of the book. Anyways, that is my opinion on the Alloy of Law. Book 1. I will treat this as book 1, because it's impossible not to. Book 1 of Mistborn Era 2. Let me know in the comments below what you think of, if you've read The Alloy of Law, let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Let me know overall, without spoilers, because I haven't finished it, and there are probably people that are going to watch this that haven't finished it, what you think of Mistborn Era 2 and how you compare it to Era 1. I think tonally wise, I think by the end of this series, this might be the one that I prefer. I know that's going to be a controversial opinion, but I think tonally wise, and just, you know, the cast of characters, even from this little bit, I really like Wax. I really like Wayne. I really like Marazi as a character. I think overall, I think they might be. I might care about them a little bit more than I cared about Vin and Elend. Maybe. I don't know yet. It's too early to tell. But with the little bit that I have, I care more about Wax at this point after 200 pages. After 300 and what, 25 pages, than I did about Vin at 285 pages. I care more about Wax after one book than I cared about Vin after about halfway through Mistborn. But that's also maybe a pacing thing, and maybe, you know, condensing all of like Wax's tragedy and all of his like character stuff into the prologue, I think maybe is really smart, because the second book, and I'll get onto that when I do my monthly wrap up and when I do my video on that book as well. I think the way that Mistborn Era 2 is going to work is the prologues are going to be kind of like set. That's a freaking. Of course, a prologue is set up, but the prologue is going to be like Wax starting out his career, and then the rest of the book is going to be present day. And I think that's a really cool way of doing it. Like, the prologue isn't necessarily like setting up what the book is going to be about necessarily. It's just going to be, this is a previous case that Wax did when he was a newbie, or when he was learning what to do, and then we're going to see where he is at present day. And that's just really cool. In my opinion, that's a cool way of doing it. Anyways, let me know what you think of Mistborn Era 2 as a whole, but also more predominantly the Alloy of Law. Let me know what you think of the Alloy of Law, because that is the one that I've finished. Do not spoil the rest of the series, obviously. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Peace. And also, we are getting to the end of my TBR at the moment. I've got this, and I've got the Bloodsworn Saga afterwards. I think after that I'm going to do Project Hail Mary, and then I don't know. And then it's a blank canvas. So I want recommendations. Basically in the comments, or whether you come into my streams, basically everywhere. I just want to be bombarded with what I should be reading when I've gotten to the end of my TBR. What do you guys want to see me talk about? What do you think is going to tickle my pickle in a way? Or what do you guys think is going to tickle, or going to, like, whet my appetite, when I've exhausted the books that I currently own, and Project Hail Mary, which is a book that I really want to read after watching that film. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I will see you guys possibly tonight for a stream. If not that, I'll be live Saturday night. I'll see you guys then. Hopefully enjoyed. Peace.